This Daf Yomi Yerushalmi Bikkurim, the article Oz V'Hara Deshim Daf Yud Testament, the second line to Nim Karban, which in the Vilna is on Tes Amud Beis, the seventh line down. Also, Utu Nim Karban. So we're talking about the Mishnah, according to the Mishnah, of course. Mishnah had said that let's take a look at these things. The article turned so many pages. The Bikkurim are tuning Korban, and the next thing is going to be Shir, Tenufa, and Lina. So other things are Bikkurim, relevant to Bikkurim. Says the Gemara, tuning Korban, Nema Kan Simcha, it says Samachta B'chol Toiv, by Bikkurim, and it's in Dvarim Chavav. Nema Simcha, it says in Dvarim Chav Zayin, Zavachta Shlomecha Shlomim, V'achal Shlomim Samachta B'nei Hashem Elokecha. So there it's about Shlomim, just like there's a Simcha Shlomim. So the Simcha said by Bikkurim is talking about Korban Shlomim. So that means that when you bring Bikkurim, you have to bring a Shlomim with your Bikkurim. It says going further. Let's see. I'm not sure where it's right inside actually. Tini Korban Nema Kan Simcha Nema Haon Simcha Masim Hashem Elohim Shlomim Av Kan Shlomim Bashir. And you also have to have song when you bring the Bikkurim. Nemar Kan Shir. The Rosh changes that to Nemar Kan Tov. And Nemar Lahalon, and it says later on, Lahem Kashir Agavim. There it adds the word, and there it adds, or the Rosh adds the words Umitav Nagain. So it says by Bikkurim, B'samachta B'chol Toiv. And Yecheskel says, Yecheskel Lam Gimel Lam Beis Min Chol Lahem Kashir Agavim Umitav Nagon. So Meitav, maybe it's Meitav Nagon. Don't have the kudos here. The article has kudos. I don't look at the article. So the article says, V'yafei Chol Lahem Kashir V'yafei Kol Umeitiv Nagain. Meitiv Nagain. So the event is Gzer Shava from Tov Tov. There it says Tov, and there it says Meitav, and therefore we say just like there it says it refers to Shir. So to here the Tov refers to Shir. So to here Tov refers to Shir as well. Utsunufa requires waving. So the Kohen should take the container in hand, v'nicho, and put it down. L'rabos. So from the word the Leib Yerushalmi brings down that's the Gzer Shava. It says here, it says by Shlomi Yadav Tibyanis Yishay Hashem. So it's Gzer Shava Yad Yad. It's like by Shlomi the Baalim have to wave it together with the Kohen. So the Bikkurim, the Baalim wave it with the Kohen. And that is more appears in many places in the Bavli, in Sukkah, Zion, Saitu, Tes, Kedushin, Makas, Menuchas. But it could be also that we learn out from the word vinicho, the extra, which is a superfluous word, because it says here the word lerabos. So here it doesn't seem like it is actually a lingua for Gzer Shava, but the riboy akra. And the lerabos that become shir tufa, whether it's from Gzer Shava or whether it's from the extra vinicho, become shir tufa. Rabbi said, Bikkurim should do Nuva, comes to teach us that Bikkurim requires Nuva. Ki Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov, which is the Shita Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov. Okay, it says, Gemara Velina, you have to stay overnight. It says, Upanisa Babokar Achta Lo Lecha. This is from Dvarim Tez Zayin. Zayin, it says, when you ever. Sorry, my mic cut out there. Let's say again from Velina. Velina, Upanisa Babokar Achta Lo Lecha. This is any time you. You go to the Azara, it's not silly by Bikkurim. It says in Dvarim Tez Zayin, Ufanisa Boker V'Achta Alecha. So anytime you have to be in the Azara, you have to wait till the next day. We learn out from the interesting the Rashi Rosh Hashanah brought down by Levi Shloim adds that you're going in Azara. You're going to Azara in Yontif. So obviously not going to go till the next morning. we go home, whether it's first day of Chol Hamoed or Isur Chag. So it's superfluous to say Fanisa Baboker. So teaching us that any time you leave your Pona after you were Roe Panim Ba'azara, it's on the following morning. You have to spend the night in Yerushalmi. Okay. So as it says, anytime you leave, there should only be the following morning. That which you said that's korban. That's when there's saying about where there's no korban. When korban there's a korban, then bank below Kainton Lina Machmas Carbon. Anyway, Chayav Lina because of carbon. So that's an interesting thing what she's saying here. That's how telling you Bikurim is Chayav Lina is still you don't bring a carbon shlom with them. Because the carbon is which you mentioned before is only mitzvah chatchila, but you haven't even didn't bring a carbon, you are yotze, you still should do lina. But the Chanami, there is a chiyuv lina anytime you bring a carbon, and the chiddush here is that if you don't bring a carbon, Bikurim in of itself is mechayiv you in lina. In a note, the Leib Yerushalmi says that that's the same Moshe, and it's based on Ram and Hilchos Bikurim. Like as the Mishnah, but Rashi, Menachos Daf Nun Ches says that seems to imply at least the Bikurim you do have to bring a carbon. It is an obligation, but you don't have to bring the same time. So therefore, the Chiddush is that you chayit and lina the day bring the carbon, you have to stay with Yerushalayim the night afterwards, and also on the separate day which you brought the Bikurim, if you did not bring them on the same day. Okay, Rabbi Yonah Amar Mesha v'Chaim Rabbanan. Rabbi Yonah said Rabbi Mesha, one of the rabbis, said they don't argue. They said two different things. Chaim Amar. Is there a header in the art scroll? There's no header here in the. Yeah, the header in the art scroll is Nitelas Minat Torah LaTame. You can take Bikurim from Torah and Tame. The Yonah Chaim Amar once said, "So this Mishnah Peiros Tmeim Chayovim Bikurim." It teaches us that Peiros Tmeim are Chayovim Bikurim. Even though you can't bring them themselves as Bikurim, nevertheless you have to make Bikurim on them. The Charana and the other one, and the other one said Ma'aser Rishon Shigdim Shibali Potim Mishuma Gedola. He says that he said a separate thing. Again, it's not the same statement. But before we get to the second statement, Levi Shem points out we said previously in Parak Aleph Mishnah Zayin that if the fruit becomes Tami Zara, then you pour out the basket and you don't do a kriya. But evidently, when you replace them with tahirim, right? Because otherwise it's a little bit difficult. As in Peiros Tmeim, Peiros Mechubel Karka, Tzam Makabel Tuma, Bikurim. So therefore, it means to say that when you replace the Tmeim, you replace them with tahirim, since they became Tomei. Okay, so now the other statement, which again is an unrelated statement, since it says Chumas Meiser does not forbid the Goren, so the statement on Mishnah that says Chumas Meiser, does forbid the Goren. So it sounds that the Isser is true, that applies even if you didn't take off Truma yet. In other words, when you took up Meiser Rishon first, then where those stalks are putter from Truma Gedola, nevertheless, you still can't eat them until you take up Trumas Meiser on them. It's interesting, that is the way Levi Yerushalmi interprets it. The Chiddush is that Meiser Rishon took off first before the Truma Gedola, the Kedim B'Shibolim. He took off the stalks. You can't eat that until you take off Trumas Meiser. That's what our Mishnah is teaching us. The art scroll, and they're both based on Moshe, but he says that no, the Lima the Gemara is more simple, actually, that the Charam Mar Meiser Rishon Shegdim B'Shem Patim B'Shum Gedola means that which is the Meiser Rishon itself, it is Chayim B'Shumas Meiser, that's true, but it's Patim B'Shum Gedola. B'Shum Gedola only take off from the rest of the grain when it becomes Chayim B'Shum Gedola, when you're Memarech, of course, but you can't. I think actually, if you took it up as Shiboilim, I think you took it the Meiser Rishon B'Shiboilim, you can't eat the rest of it, even though it's before Ruach, before you smooth the pile. You still can't eat the rest of the mixture and take off the Truma Gedola. But in any event, the Chiddush is that the Meiser Rishon, which you took off, which is Chayim and Trumas Meiser, is part of Truma Gedola. Truma Gedola is only on the rest of the grain, not on the grain you took off. Grain you already separate from Meiser Rishon, even though you took it off before you took off Truma Gedola. That's the Charona Omar Meiser Rishon Mishua part of Truma Gedola. That's the Chiddush. In other words, not that to Trumas it still requires Trumas Meiser, but it may be true. But the Chiddush is much more simple, well, like the Leib Yerushalmi said. But it's much more simple Chiddush that this Meiser Rishon took off means part of Truma Gedola. Okay, Halacha Daled. Says the Mishnah. Esrog Shavel Ilan. Esrog is equal to Ilan. B'shlosha drachim, in three ways, and that it follows the halachas follow the time when the fruit buds on the tree. The lieric is equivalent to a vegetable. In one way, which it follows the collection when you harvest the esrog. Shavuot Ilan, it's equivalent to Ilan, but Orla Vai B'Shvius, that it's years of Orla and Revai, which is the fourth year, the year after Orla, and Shemitah, all follow the time of year in which the Chanata took place. Okay, that determines its status for Orla, Revai, Shvius. Uliyerek, follows vegetables, Shebishas Kitasa Yisura. It's a year from mice is determined by the year by the year which it's collected. So it says in one respect, like vegetables, requires a lot of water, constant watering. So therefore, it can't grow on last year's water, which is why trees go after chanota from Meiser. It needs constant watering, which is why it goes after lakita, after the gathering from Meiser. Lezer says no. Even in terms of Meiser, tree follows the esrog follows the budding of the tree. So the Gemara says says that a little bit of preface here. The average says that Shavuot Ilan Shvius is we go after chanata. And the Meiser, we go after the time of the Kita, right? So if you're going to say it's like a tree for Shvius, because the Chanata took away Shvius, so it's part for a Meiser. So I can have to say go after Meiser, like the collection, like a vegetable, and then it's not Be'er Shvius, and it's Chayiv and Meiser, because it's in the Kita's in the first year of the new cycle. So which one is it? Im Ilan, Lam Lierek, Lama Ilan. Which one is it? Is it Chayiv Shvius, and therefore it's part for a Meiser, or is it for the first year, and therefore it's Chayiv and Meiser, but then it can't be Shvius? So the Gemara says, I'll tell you. Tam and Amri, there they said, in Bavel they answer, that Nichnas Mishishis L'Shvius, if it's talking about when it's talking about a tree which comes, or esrog which comes in 60th or the 7th year, so the fruit is not arei ulabailim ki'ilan. It's like it belongs to an owner like a tree, meaning there's no chi biur, because it's not hefker. But in Chanami, patami mais is kerek. Since it's collected during Shemitah, it's pater from Meiser, so it has both halachos, right? It comes from the 6th year to the 7th year. It's not chayiv in biur because the chanata took place in the 6th year. It's not chayiv in Meiserus because the collection took place in the 7th year. So Amrin the Basra. Let's talk about the next case. Nichas Yishvius Shvinis. Comes in, goes from the 7th year to the 8th year. Okay, what do we say there? Harei Hefker Kilan. It should be Hefker like a tree, which means that there's like any other Shemitah. There's no tree. There's no Chiyuv Chuvas Meises. The Chayim Meises Kier, when you say it's Chayim Meises Kier, that's like the first year in the new cycle, the 8th year. Hefker Chayim Meises. Is Hefker Chayv and Meisris? Okay, nice shot. You gave me for the 6th year going to the 7th year. When you go to the 7th year going to the 8th year. Rabbi Yochanan said, so Yochanan said, you know what, that which you say that when you collect it, that determines the Meisters. That determines the Meister Sheni, Meister Oni, that's the other years of the cycle. You're right. But by Shemitah, we follow, for all looks, we follow the budding. If it buds during Shemitah, it remains bud for Meisters afterwards. B'shar Shvuot Shvuot Mahal Bo K'Yerek, B'Shvius Mahal Bo K'Ilan. Hey Chavida. So how does this work? We now elaborates the shita. Mechamishis l'shishis shishis. When the chanot took place in the 50th and it's gathered in the 6th year, we go after the chanot, the lakita, and it's meiser since the 6th year is meiser oni. Mishishis l'shvis shishis. If it goes from the 6th year to the 7th year, then it is the 6th year. So then he says when the chanot takes place during the 6th year and then it's gathered during the 7th year, so it requires actually meiser. Okay, so that which it says, means that with the 6th year it goes in the 7th year. So you gotta, it's true, it's a Tati Desatse, but okay, how to resolve that Tati Desatse? By saying it follows the 6th year, and therefore it's Chayv and Meiser like the 6th year. So actually I have a tree here which is Chayv twice in the Esther tree is Chayv twice in Meiser Oni. When the 5th going to the 6th, it's Chayv Meiser Oni, because the Lakita is in the 6th year. When the 6th goes into the 7th, so there you can't follow, you have to follow Chanota for both. If it's going to be Chayv Meiser Oni 2 years. I never thought that before. At least not that I recollect. But I should have thought of it because I went there several times already. But in any event, so Meiser Oni, that's what is unique. It's twice Meiser Oni. Krabi Yochanan. Nichlas Chamishis L'Shishis U'L'Shviis. So if the Chanot took place during the 5th year, and remain on the tree, because it's already remain on the tree the entire 6th year, and it's gathered during Shemitah, again, as I said, that's what they say the tree stands for a long time. So then, again, Nichas Chamishis L'Shviis Likton, now here the Gra, according to Ridbaz, changed the Girsa, and the way Yerushalmi as well. Likton B'Shishis, again, the 6th year, Shishis. Okay. Likton, which, so it's Meiser Oni. Likton B'Shvius. Yeah, during the 7th year, okay, we change the Girsa. First change the first Girsa from B'Shvius to Shishis, and we say change the second Girsa from Shishis to Shvius. So Likton B'Shvius, Chamishis. Then if it goes after the Chanot, if you gather them during the 6th year, so like we said, has 6th year. If you gather them during from 5th to 6th, right? We got it from the 5th in the 7th, so then it's got to revert back to the Chanota, so it has to go back to its status of Chamishis, which means it's going to be Meiser Sheni. Nichnas B'Shishis L'Shvius L'Shminis, whether you planted it in the 6th year to when it was the 7th year to the 8th year. Likton, so here again we're going to change the gears according to the Gra and Ridbaz. Likton not B'Shminis, but B'Shvius, in the 7th year, then Shishis, it's got to be, it's like the 6th year. Then we put in those two words, Likton B'Shvius, Shishis. Actually put 2 words, Shvius, Shishis. If B'Shminis, we have them the 8th year, like what it says, then its status is like Shminis, and of course, it goes after the 1st year of the new cycle. The Gemara is going to say, and we're going to talk about this, I think, more tomorrow, because I think we're already going to be on the next page. But in any event, already on the next page, where they say that Rabbi Seinu Chazru, our rabbis came back and they said Benimnu, and they voted on this, and they said, you know what? Now skip our Mishnah. The esrog, I guess, got too complicated. Esrog b'shasli hitaso yisuro meiser shvis. Esrog always follows the collection like vegetables for both meises and shvis. Okay, so now the one is going to interpret that, but we'll leave that for tomorrow.